Hi, Ara.
Hello.
So exciting to have you here on this embracing intensity
Thank you for
conversation.
having me.
So, Dr. Ara Suppiah,
Yep.
you really had quite an amazing journey through intensity, really, and being a doctor, working in ER, working with top athletes, top performers in golf, in tennis, athletics,
Yeah.
really supporting people to bring their intensity without stressing themselves out. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I think your experience brings exactly the right background for this conversation.
Okay.
So I'm curious, and we already spoke ahead of time a little bit. And how do you see really intensity in top performance? How does it show?
You know, when I've seen intensity, whether it's a heart surgeon, a neurosurgeon, uh, an ER doctor, somebody, military personnel that I'm working with, athletes, professional or amateurs, or people running businesses, there's different intensity is an energy that they have, right? And it's an energy it's cultivated over a period of time. I notice, um, and I've seen people evolve. I've seen trainees who started with me at the beginning of the journey graduate, become ER physicians alongside with me, and I've seen them blossom and actually gone from someone who was like very quiet and passive to the nurses look up to them when there's a code coming in, and when they walk in there's a sense of calmness there because they have the intensity to hold that whole arena, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, when you see a great athlete, like if you look at a Rafa Nadal, if you watch Rafa walk into the arena, already the crowd is in a frenzy. But the
Mm-hmm.
moment he walks in, the way he walks in, and the look in his eye, when he's shaking his hands opponent, it's complete respect for the opponent,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it's time to compete, it's time to compete. They have that intensity, right? And it's palpable. What's not obvious though, in many times, that energy cannot be mistaken for tightness in the body,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
When you see a great athlete perform, like the best example I'll give you, Tatiana, is most people can relate to this. If you see, imagine or pull up a photograph of Michael Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
arguably, in fact, to me, it's not even arguable. He is the most intense athlete alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you competed against him, when you saw his fellow peers go up against him, they knew they were going to be in for an absolute battle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And when he got the ball, he had one intent. He was going to score on you. Okay? That's all he did. But if you watched him, his tongue would always be out when he's running. Like when he's jumping up, his tongue will be out. Okay? And when you watch his body move, there's no tension.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If he had tension, he couldn't have his tongue out wiggling when it's when he's doing that because the intensity you'll bite your own tongue. Okay, the jawline has to be very soft, no tension in the jaw, otherwise your tongue won't be out.
Yes,
And
yes.
when you are flying through the air, when you are, you know, just jumping with so athletes who are doing when they are doing things at their best, there's no tension in the body. So that's when the body is just flowing. Physically, there's no tension. So on the outside,
Yeah.
it looks like, oh my God, this is so intense. But on the inside, the physical side is
Mm-hmm.
actually very, very easy. It's similar to when you're in the operating room,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I've been in an operating room when a surgeon is operating on a very difficult case, and you have 20 minutes from the time you stop the heart to restart the heart. You have 20 minutes and do all the repairs, right? They may be super intense, angry, under tension, but the grip of the equipment is so light. Because if you
Mm.
grip it tight, you can't do fine movement. You'll be gone. You have to have very light grip. Same with the tennis player. Tennis player hitting a ball at 100 miles an hour has very light grip pressure.
I love that. And that's a paradox of how to
Mm,
combine
mm.
that high energetic intensity, with actually relaxed state of the physical body.
Yes.
Because I'm straight away thinking of leaders. I work with leaders in
Mm,
finance, and there is of course a lot of sense of urgency and everything is important. And I work often with the leaders who come across intense. What I mean, and it is similar to what you described. It's a certain energetic presence,
mm-hmm.
right? So they don't even need to say much. They show up like this. So how then to bring that in with this graceful intensity of holding whatever instrument, virtual instrument in that case, right?
Yeah.
Lightly, not gripping so tight.
Yeah. And it's yeah, use the word, well, the paradox. It's when you look at Michael Jordan, yes,
Mhm.
you feel his intensity, but you appreciate the grace in which he is flying through the air, right? When you see a ballerina dance, you understand how intense they are and focused in that moment, but they have supreme grace because there's no tension in their body, right? So I think when you talk about urgency, they don't, people in that state, when they are really in flow state, where there is no, time seems like you have forever to do whatever you want to do, there's no sense of urgency in that sense, you know it may be the last 5 seconds of a game. There's urgency around the crowd and say, but to the person in flow state, there's no urgency. When you start feeling urgency, that's when you physically are going to get very tight. So there's a famous story about Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus is, arguably the greatest golfer. He's 18 majors, still the highest, right? And dominated the sport forever. And there was
Mhm.
an interview, and I remember reading this. He said, before the major finals,
Mhm.
right now, he is a very intense person, but you have nerves, you have urgency, you tend to want to speed up, right? He would slow everything down. So he'll
Mhm.
brush his teeth in the morning slower, deliberately. He'll drink his coffee slower, drive to the golf course slower, take the bags out of the car slower, walk slower, to get to a point where he's intense on the outcome and the purpose is very clear. He wants to win this tournament, but he's not going to get the urgency get in his way where he gets tension in his body and then can't perform.
Yeah. And you see, the question straight away pops up for me, like thinking of the leaders with whom I work and remembering my own time on a trading floor when, oh my gosh, there is such a big market move. We have to act now. We have to call clients now. Or if it's in investment banking, that's really important. There are three other
Mm.
banks are submitting that pitch. We need to work through the night. It's urgent. When I tell my clients, you need to expend time, they're like, "Are you crazy, Tatiana? What do you mean expend time?" It's like, we just need to act faster, right?
Yeah.
It's so. What would be your advice? What do you think the leaders in finance, when the market's moving really fast?
Mm.
What would be your advice from your experience? What do they need to hear?
Well, okay. So if you look at where urgency comes from, it comes from your immediate sense of thinking like, this is the opportunity I need to jump on. If I don't jump on it, there's never going to be another opportunity.
Yeah. On might be not in the next 2 weeks or month,
whatever,
right?
right? And if you look back and answer that question, is that always true? No, the answer is almost never true. How
Yeah.
many times have you missed an opportunity and another opportunity came about?
Yeah.
That's always. So if you change your mindset and think there's always another opportunity. Yes, this opportunity is great. I'm going to do everything I can to get this. But if I don't, there's another one. I'm going to be ready for that one, right? You have to diffuse that the amount of emphasis and like urgency comes because we put that thing in such a high priority, right? It is
Right.
either do or die, right? And if you don't, and you just go, you know what? Like in many times in the ER when I'm working with something like that, if you look at the situation, it's very scary. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can. The best I'm trained to do is what I'm going to do. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not attached to the outcome. Like in sports, a lot of people will be attached to the process,
Mm-hmm.
not the outcome. So
Right.
similarly, if you get a CEO who's very attached to the outcome, and the entire measure is purely on the outcome, which you may or may not be able to control really. Most of the time you can't. There's only two things really that you can control: your actions and your reactions. That's
Mm.
it. Think about everything else. Like you could do everything correctly and you may not get the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And many times you've done things that were not perfect and got the outcome you wanted,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So if you think about that, your actions and your reactions, just work on those. And then if you're not so attached to the outcome, the urgency will go away.
Yeah, and I love this unattachment to outcome. For me, it's actually important part of what I call healthy intensity, which
Yeah,
it's literally unattachment to outcome, complete intrinsic self-trust,
yeah,
and full presence.
mm.
So,
Yeah, it's very good.
so what I'm curious about, okay, um, remove the sense of urgency. So it's easy said, right? Focus on your next action. What if I'm measured though, but they would answer to me, I'm measured by the outcome.
Mm-hmm,
So what what do you know about our physical bodies?
mm-hmm.
What are the high chances for them, for those intense leaders, to generate actually the best outcome while being detached from it?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. So, like when you say don't, a lot of even athletes, right? It's easier said than done when you say don't attach the outcome. But the
Yes.
outcome can be broken down into multiple small pieces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's take a tennis player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you are now at match point. You are match point to win Wimbledon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, your opponent is serving. If you win this point, you are going to win Wimbledon. It is going to change your life. It's going to mean millions of dollars in endorsements. You are done. You get to be a member at the club. Like, think about all the outcomes. You've spent your entire life working for this moment, and it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
If I stood there and thought of all of that, it is going to be crippling.
Mm-hmm.
To the athlete, they go, okay, it's match point. I need to win this. So Boris Becker said this. They asked him, did you get nervous? He won Wimbledon when he was 17 years old. He served for the match and won. They said, were you nervous? And he said, yes, very nervous. And they were like, how did you handle your nerves? And he goes, I hit through it. So I got a chance to speak to him many years later. And I shared this recently. If you take that enormous event, attachment, right, and you break it down to things that in the moment is what we call it the process, but each step in the process to getting to the outcome
Mm-hmm.
has an individual outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're returning serve for Wimbledon, you might say, you know what, I just want to make sure I read where the person is throwing the ball. Then I'm going to make contact with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to put it right in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
the court. Now it multiple processes that are happening much faster because you've done it a million times, right? But each one of that has an outcome. So you've taken the big outcome and broken it down into small, tiny outcomes
Yeah.
by focusing on what's important in that moment.
What is important now, as you said
Yes, because
on
I
some
shared
of the
that
last
before. Like
conversations.
Lou Hall shared that with me. Like WIN, win,
Yeah,
stands
I
for
love
what's important now, right? So what's important now? You're standing there, the ball is going to come at you. You read the toss and you go, you know what? It's going to go here.
it. Yeah,
You get the
yeah.
ball back,
And
and then now you break it down into a series of small things that you're attached to. My attachment right now is to see whether I can read where the ball's going. Next attachment, I'm attached to seeing if I can get the ball back in the middle of the court. And that's how you break it down.
right, and that's what so being attached to the process and understanding the process so well, and actually
Mm.
it means that after a difficult transaction, I'm talking banking terms, right?
Yeah.
Create time for reflections so that you become really clear on the process.
Yeah.
And of course, if you are in a team, if you are in a team and it's being aware of your own energy and impact it has on others. Like, if somebody is
Yeah. Yeah.
intense, if Michael Jordan showed up with that intensity, not only in his energetic field, but actually in his physical body, how would be others impacted by that?
Correct. Correct. In a team environment, yes, 100%. And so there's two things you mentioned there. Like one is no matter what, you got an outcome, right? It may be the outcome you wanted, maybe it's the outcome you didn't want, but you got an outcome,
Hmm.
right? In order to get better at this process, you have to go back and analyze that outcome
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Hmm.
figure out, what did I do well? What did I not do? Why did I not get the outcome I wanted? Why did I end up with this outcome, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. Like doing a debrief after every single one of this will help you, and that's why with time you become much better at dealing with this because you've now got references. Or
Yes.
you know
Yes.
what, another opportunity will come because I thought the last time I thought this, I thought it'll never come again. It came, right? And you have that perspective. But secondly, you also know that your intensity, not everybody can match or absorb your intensity.
Hmm.
And if that intensity is harsh, right? Like it's one of those things that I'm sure you share with this. I have people say, I've not said a word in a meeting, and people, they say, you're making me nervous or you're making
Yes.
me scared. And I'm like, I haven't said a word.
I know.
I
Sounds
haven't
familiar.
one word. I, what do you mean? And they're like, just, you know,
I know.
you're going to say something that's going to make me feel stupid. And I'm like, I haven't said anything. And they're like, yes, that's the whole point. So you have to be aware that your spoken, non spoken is, if you are, that energy can be too much for people and you can burn them down. Unfortunately, in my life, I've done that. It took me years to learn that. And took me
Hmm.
enough people who loved me enough to say, stop, this is too
Mm.
much. You need to back off because this person cannot handle it.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's what I find fascinating, how we find access to this, like literally harnessing our intensity to like
Mm-hmm.
might be like, talk to me, how does it show up? Like how did you learn to manage to change the impact of your energy on others? Might
It,
be
it
in emergency room, might be in some other situations.
no, so there was a line that I studied NLP.
Right. Hmm.
And in NLP, one of the founding principles, the meaning of your communication is the response you get.
Mm.
If you don't like the response, change your communication, right? The meaning of your communication is the response you get. So by me just being there, if that feels like, if I'm looking at somebody and they are shrinking, then I need to turn the energy down. I need to either becoming more playful, less intense. I have to adjust it. It's continuously observing what effect you are having on another person, right? Similarly, if I have another person who I feel like I need to stand my ground, then I got to make sure that that energy comes across and
Hmm.
saying, no, we're not doing this. We are not doing this,
Right.
right?
And
It's like calibration. It's like you don't just listen to music the same volume all the time.
mhm.
Like in an orchestra, right? A beautiful orchestra, the conductor is telling them, okay, play this one louder, bring this one down,
Yes,
play
yes,
up.
yes, yes.
This communication energy is exactly the same. If you're always the same, A, people will start ignoring you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
B, you're going to be so boring because it's going to sound the same. And so people are not going to listen to you. Whereas if you go up and down in the volume, and sometimes you lean forward, sometimes you go back.
Yes.
Same thing.
And this slowing down, right? So calibrating your
Correct.
energy that
Correct.
I'm going to speak
Speeding
slowly.
up, going down.
Right.
It's a constant gauge, and it's one of those things. Like when I learned that, and I started paying attention to seeing what people, if I said like the meaning of my communication is the response I'm getting. If
I
the
love it.
response is, if the
Hmm.
response is people are shrinking and they're becoming fearful and they're scared of me, maybe that's what I want. But if it's not, then I got to change my communication, which is verbal and non-verbal.
Yes. Exactly. I love that. It's like the response I get, that's meaning of the communication. And that's also puts one responsibility on understanding what is my intention? What actually do
Yes.
I want to get?
Yeah.
And of course, the challenge is here that's like when I see how intensity goes into toxic version, it's the first sign it's a tunnel vision, right? So
Hmm.
because we're passionate about something, the goal and find we're breaking it down to a moment, right?
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh, I need to pay attention to what how they're receiving me. How can I hold both? How can I hold the focus and the impact it's having on my junior?
Yeah. It's a skill, but it's a skill that's very doable. It's very learnable,
Mm,
right? It's very, very learnable. You, as long as you pay it, like you have to force yourself to do it over and over again. Listen, Tatiana, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
I
Because
know, I know.
I had no hope. People were like, you are so bad. But eventually, it got to a point where the goal became like, I needed them to be on my side.
Yes,
I didn't want them to be not on my side. I didn't want them, like, I'm not going to get anything done if I don't have them on my side. So, what do I need to do? How do I need to communicate with this person? Right? I
exactly.
asked Coach Lou the same thing. Like, I, the same person who told me about the win, right? I asked him. I said, he's such a famous coach, and there's a lot of noise now about this generation. They're so soft. They're so sensitive. You can't talk to them. Blah blah blah. We were grown up in a you got yelled at, you got shouted at, and you just did it. That kind of stuff, right? And I asked him. I said, if you were coaching now with this generation, how would you communicate? And he said, I'll tell you what I will do and what I won't do. What I will not do is lower my standards. I will make it very clear what I expect from them, right? And then he said, and then I'll figure out what's the best way to get them to be on my side to get the same outcome.
And that's like as they say, $100 question, $100 million question,
Yeah.
because I work sometimes with leaders who top performers,
Mm.
and yet they consider it literally scary So they're like, I don't want to lower my standard. I'm like,
You're
okay,
not lowering the
no,
standard.
you don't want to lose your standard, but
No,
get people on your journey. And that's actually about understanding the process. It's part of it.
correct. You being scary or not scary doesn't change your standard. If
That's
your
right.
standard
Well,
is
it's
excellent.
perception, but then it's responsibility. If you are perceived as scary, then
Mm-hmm.
it means that there might be some more calibration needs to take place. Because what also women, for example, are if we have the same type of behavior
Mm-hmm.
from a senior leader man and a senior
Yep.
leader woman,
Oh,
women are more likely to be called aggressive,
yep.
abrasive, or negatively intense, not,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yep.
where the guy will be called passionate. So it's like,
Correct.
okay,
Yep.
do you know that's a fact. So now,
Yep.
how do you recalibrate your energy then? Like,
Well, if so, if you know the outcome that you want,
mm-hmm,
right? Like if I was like Coach Lou, if you went to coach a group of people, now he knows if he communicated a certain way, they're going to shrink.
mm-hmm.
So he has to calibrate, he has to play the dial up and down to figure out. And for each one, it might be different. And it's a lot more work. But if your goal is to get the outcome, right? People who are intense in getting outcomes.
Yes, so, okay, bring that,
Yeah.
bring
So if
that.
that's your goal and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get your outcome,
So what would be your practical advice? How did you manage to find this calibration? And to find this extra energy? Did you ask for feedback? Did you work on your breath? Like, it's just like, did you?
yeah. So uh, the biggest thing for me was noticing the effect I had on people.
So consciously setting this intention that
Correct.
actually, say 20% of my attention, or what percentage it is for you, will
Hmm.
be put on another person,
Correct.
even 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 when there is a real emergency taking place. Is it what you would
Yeah.
do? Like, say, even if there
Mm.
is like a real like life or death situation in emergency room, would you
Yep.
still put 20% attention, or what percent attention would you put on your team?
So here's what I'll do. I'd walk
Hmm.
in,
Hmm.
like, okay, and just because of years of doing this and my experience, they're all looking to me for
Hmm.
direction, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
At that moment, there cannot be any ambiguity.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so I set very clear guidelines, and I go, okay, who is in charge of the airway? Put your hand up. I need you to stand here. And I tell them, I said, you do not do anything else than get the airway. Until you get the airway, don't talk to me, don't talk to anybody else. And I go look at
Hmm.
the rest of the team and go, the rest of the team, do not talk to this person because you're distracting them until they get the airway secured. Then I go, who's in charge of the ventilator? Okay, you wait for the cue.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do
Hmm.
not do anything until this happens. So I dictate all the terms beforehand, right? And what happens is, in that kind of environment, that particular kind of environment, clear directions without ambiguity is completely fine. But here's what they all know: if you cannot do something, I will bail you out.
Yeah.
They know that 100%. Now, if they know that if they mess up, I'm going to bail them out, they are more likely to succeed. But if they thought, oh my God, if I don't get the airway, Dr. Suppiah is going to kill me. He's going to yell at me and belittle me in front of everyone else. They are already under too much pressure. So I've learned, like when they and I go, you okay? They go, no. And I go, if you're not okay, it's okay to tell me. And they go, no, I'm not okay. I go, okay, let me look. And then I walk them through it. And then I debrief. If like they miss something, I will debrief with them and say, why did that not happen, you think?
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
when they give me the answer, I'm go, great.
Okay,
But
exactly. It's that feeling, like first of all, creating space to become clear yourself, and that one you
Mhm.
have to do before emergency, obviously, right? But create space even in emergency to
Yeah,
communicate clearly
yeah,
and assign processes.
correct. And the outcome, like in an emergency, the outcome is life or death,
Exactly, and
right?
that's why
And
I'm mhm,
we are not attached. Like we are not. I'm not attached to the
right.
outcome.
And that thing about having your back, knowing, because I'm thinking, when the financial crisis happens,
Mm,
if if the trader who accumulated the position that actually going to cost us a lot of money thinks that he will be thrown under or she will be thrown under the bus if they tell us what's happening, right? Then they not going to tell us until we have like whatever half a
correct.
billion
Yeah, yeah. Until
loss,
it's too
or we
deep.
have to micromanage them all the time, right?
Yeah,
So it's creating this, building this trust to the extent to know that in the most difficult situations, your people can come to you
yeah,
or give you signal and saying, I'm in real trouble.
yeah. And I'll when you talk about leadership, one of the most profound moments I've had is when I was with the Hadza tribe. I spent time with the Hadza tribe in Tanzania. Okay,
Right.
these are the last of the hunter-gatherer tribes on the planet. Okay, and I got to interview the chief through an interpreter, and I asked this chief because he was an amazing guy that would take the younger kids to hunt with him, and he would teach them. They would laugh about each other during the fire and all this. But one day I asked him, I said, what do you think your role is as the chief? And he didn't even pause. He said, to find the next best chief.
Right. That's gold.
See, that's leadership, because he's not about him.
Mm-mm.
The outcome is they need to keep the tribe alive through famine, through hot summers when there's no water. Like, they need to have the skill to go hunt, to climb trees, to do this. So he wanted to find the best person to replace him. Leaders don't think like that.
It's to have this long-term perspective. And
Yeah.
and that's so inspiring as well.
Yes. Yeah.
And even though we're over time, I want to ask one question.
Yeah.
It's like, my question to you is, sometimes we tell people, like, I'm thinking of one of my athletic daughter. Well, I don't have to tell her, she's like, does it herself. I actually want to slow her down. Of
Yeah.
this pushing through? She's just right now, like, tough period at school and before and competitions. And she's like, I think I just push through,
Mm.
right? And I'm
Mm.
like, when is this pushing through actually comes at the cost of long-term performance?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's literally why I get paid, right? My job has been for years looking at wearable data, looking at biomarkers, and understanding the amount of load on a person, because the the type A personality, the driven, the highly successful people will push through,
Yeah.
right? And you want to know, when can I push through and not get injured? When
Hmm.
can I push through and not get sick and be taken
Yes.
out of the game, right? It's one of those that there's another saying that I love. Like, sometimes when you push the boundaries will push back,
Hmm.
and then you're going to get. But if you're an athlete and you never push the boundary, you will never be satisfied.
And you never know where's your boundary
Correct.
as
So
well.
so you have to embrace and say, you know what? Push through. But the earliest sign of you breaking down, we stop.
Exactly. And it's actually about awareness. Like for me, healthy intensity is when we're aware of our mental world, emotional world, physical world, and
Hmm.
energetic world. And that
Hmm.
takes time and actually slowing down to research it.
Yeah, it does take time. It takes a lot of time.
And
There,
us,
there, yeah, there are some shortcuts. Like, for instance, when in the athletic world, when you're pushing through, you can understand, there's a difference between pain and suffering. Like I teach my athletes this, right? Pain sometimes is inevitable because you're doing things to break your body down. But
Mm.
suffering is when pain starts occupying space in your head,
Yes.
meaning your sleep is gone, you're irritable, you're frustrated, you have no joy in the process anymore. That's when you're suffering. The pain is gone, it's gone into suffering, right?
Mhm.
We also look at physical markers. For instance, if your resting heart rate is starting to climb up, before you get sick, you better back off, because it's telling, your body is telling you this is what's happening. If you go to bed tired and you wake up tired, your body is not in a position to push through.
Mhm.
So
Yes,
these are some of the key things that I work with a lot of people on.
so it's paying attention to those, actually to those signals in our body as we're
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to those signals outside. And actually, it's this ability to ask for help. If athletes are working for someone like you, right? Every leader should be working for the coach who is observing them.
Yeah,
How how are their performance? What's
yeah,
happening to them, and what reactions they're having on others?
yeah. Because
So
here's the thing, like, if you don't push hard enough, you might leave stuff on the table, right? You don't want to do that. You want to know, like, you took everything out as much as possible, but not to a point where you're getting burnt out. So it's always drawing that balance.
well, we can speak for ages, Ara. So,
Likewise,
yeah,
likewise.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
thank you
had
for
a
having me.
fascinating
Appreciate it.
time. So, where can people find you?
Where can you find me? You can go, well, I'm on Instagram, Dr.
Hmm.
Ara on call. I'm on LinkedIn, Dr. Ara Suppiah or Ara Suppiah. And then my website is drarasuppiah.com.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Or you can
Thank you
ask
for your
Tatiana, she'll tell you where I am.
wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your wisdom. Is
Of
there
course.
anything you want to leave our listeners with? One sentence of advice?
Just listening to our conversation today, I think what will serve your clientele would be that NLP statement. The
Yeah,
meaning of your communication is the response you get. If
right.
you don't like the response, change your communication.
Exactly. And that's observing the response, actually asking for response.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.